Hear me, 1, 2, 3. All right. This is the truth about dating and picking the right partner, right? This is a detrimental mistake that a lot of people make that, it's easy to fall into. Now, especially nowadays, oftentimes a true Christian perspective is overlooked. People don't think about it. They just forget about it, They just forget about it. So today we're going to talk about that. How to find the right partner. So this is a little Bible study. It's late at night, but I have my laptop right here. I have some notes here that I'm gonna look at here and there. Got my notes right here, my Bible that we could pull to. The dating scene, just like the job market, the dating market is atrocious right now. Like, in modern days, we prioritize the wrong kind of things. We normalize the wrong kinds of things, right? Premarital sex, hookup culture, it's a thing. It really is. And with these standards set in place, we don't really have much of a role model. We don't really have much inspiration to look towards, There's not many God-centered couples out there for us to really look up to, So today I want to explore a little bit of that. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eddie Enriquez. I'm 19 years young, and I have the big dream, the big goal of just gathering as many passionate Christians as I can, and really just people that love Jesus in general, and just create a strong kingdom for him here on earth, for us to go up into heaven, for us just to glorify him right here. So we're going to dive straight into it. We're going to go straight to it. So how to find the right partner? Like I said in the intro, it's hard to find the right kind of partner, especially nowadays. There's not many good standards. I would say finding the right partner, that obviously starts with standards, Everybody has standards for whatever it may be, whether that be a person, a job, whatever. Luckily, we have this beautiful piece of history that teaches us all about it. We have the blueprint right here. The blueprint is right here. Read, and it's there, right? What I'm doing is just kind of sharing what I've learned from studying and from reading this and stuff that I've implemented into my own life, right? So speaking from experience, just hold a high standard close to what Jesus had set in place. That's what this is about, it's Jesus's life. So we have to set a standard close to that. Obviously, Jesus was perfect. Us humans aren't, right? But what I'm speaking about is holding Jesus as the standard, right? Now, Jesus loved the church. He sacrificially loved the church, right? And that's what we have to learn to do for our partners. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm going to speak in a man's perspective, obviously. I'm going to speak in my own perspective, like as a man, but this applies to men and women, and there'll be parts where I differentiate the both, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to be using I'm going to use I a lot. So yeah, you'll see. So men need to love their wife as Jesus, as God loved the church, for he was willing to sacrifice so much for the church, right? For his own people. And us as men, we have to do the same for our wives. We have to love sacrificially. And that comes in different forms that may look differently in each person, each relationship, and whatnot. But one thing I can say, a couple of things that I can say that goes for pretty much every man. This is when it's necessary, when it's needed, right? Letting go of things, sacrificing. For example, letting go of your ego, letting go of your pride. As a man, I can say, that's one of the biggest things in a relationship, no, I'm right, no, this is this, or no, what I'm thinking is right, what I'm saying is right, letting go of your ego, your pride, listening, right? A big one, letting go of lust as a man, right? Women deal with lust as well, but again, I'm speaking in my own perspective. Letting go of lust, it's kind of a given, you have to move on from that. You have to give up lust if you truly want a proper relationship with another person. How are you going to be giving this person your love whenever your attention is off somewhere else? Your mind is drifting to wrong stuff, negative places that it shouldn't be. Those kinds of things are what we have to sacrifice in order to love a woman properly. Now, those are just a few examples, but there's many other things, and one that I'm just gonna throw out there because it's common nowadays, especially in, like, even in people I know as a man, but both men and women. When you enter a relationship, if you truly want to have a God-centered relationship, I mean, it's a given, but again, it's prominent nowadays. Let go of all the, I'm gonna say the little talking stages. You can say that, of all your side chicks or your little boo things. If you're entering a relationship, there's no reason for you to be texting your ex talking stage, from a couple months ago, from a year ago, of texting your ex. There's no reason for you to be added to this girl and that girl, especially if your partner says that it's kind of bothering them. Then, do the right thing, make those sacrifices. So get rid of those, because that opens the door to places you shouldn't be. That opens the door to conversations you shouldn't be having with people that you shouldn't be talking to. So I kind of overstepped myself. I have a scripture here that I want to open to. It's going to be Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 to 28. Now I have it right here. Luckily, I put my little tabs. I got 1, 2, and 3. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 and 28. It says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." Now I'm gonna go one sentence at a time. Now that's the one that I was speaking of. Like I said, I jumped ahead a little bit. It continues to say, "And he gave himself up for her, that he may sanctify her." Right. So the only true way for a woman, for anybody really, to be sanctified, to be reborn, is through Jesus, right? But right here it says that he may sanctify her, right? And he's speaking of man, he's speaking of the husband, not of Jesus himself. It says right here that he might sanctify her. So again, the only true person that can sanctify you is Jesus, but right here it's referring to the man. You have to bring a sort of cleanliness, a sort of purity into the relationship, to where a woman feels safe with you. A woman feels safe with you. She feels cleansed. She feels reborn. Don't come into a relationship bringing toxicity, bringing all this and that, because you're only tarnishing whatever space you two have together. And continues to say, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. Right? That she may be holy and without blemish. Now this is a good one. I really like this. So I'm speaking to the men specific right here. We know that men are the leaders. They're the head of the relationship in the marriage, right? So us as men, we have to learn to guide a woman. We have to learn how to pick up our cross, let go of all that, I'm just gonna say, all that trash, all that garbage. Let go of, like I was saying, that toxicity. Let go of all that lust. Let go of any motives, any ill intent motives that you had in wanting to talk with a person. The only thing you should seek is true love, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as a man, we have to be leaders. We have to bring a sort of assertiveness to the relationship, that we may guide a woman down the right path, right? Not the wrong path, not a dark path, the right path. So as a man, I as a leader have to both treat a woman right and lead her down the proper and righteous path. And similarly, a woman has to put a hand in the relationship. It goes both ways. A man is the leader. A woman has to keep her man in check, right? Now, it's kind of the man's job. Keep yourself in check, obviously. But when a man starts to drift, it's a woman's job to get him back in line. Like, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not acting the way you should be acting, right? As a woman, you have to like, hey, wake up. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Pick yourself up. Get back on track. Get back on your pace, okay? Support. A man's biggest support in marriage is his own woman, right? And conversely, that can be his biggest downside. If you as a woman aren't treating him right, or you're being over the top, or you're doing this or that, if you're being toxic, just bringing negativity or dragging him down from being the leader that he's meant to be, the leader that Jesus called him to be in that relationship of y'all's, you're doing it wrong. You have to be supportive. You have to be encouraging. Don't drag him down. Okay. Now, again, going back to the same verse, this is the end of verse 27, that she might be holy and without blemish. Now, this one, it's a hitter, right? So I want you to listen. This is really important. This was a hitter for me. And it was through this realization that I was able to change my perspective. Now, sinning, let's start from the beginning. Sinning pulls you further away from Jesus Christ, right? Sinning tears you apart from your Father, because it's what the world wants, it's what the devil wants. Now, it's one thing to sin on your own doing, to sin for yourself, I guess, for yourself to say. You're playing with your own eternal life, your own afterlife. That's scary, but that's one thing, right? You're playing with your own life, putting your own life at jeopardy. Now it's a completely different realm, a different story. If you're leading your woman down a dark path. Now again, it's one thing for me to sin, but causing God's daughter to sin, causing Jesus' daughter to go into darkness. Now that's something you don't want to play with. That's harsh. Now I want you to think about that for a bit. If you want to jeopardize your own everlasting life, then, no one's there to stop you. God gives you free will, right? But to go put a woman's life at jeopardy, and when I say life, I mean like afterlife, eternal life. To put a woman's salvation at jeopardy because of your own desires. Now, granted, a woman may have those wrong, those lustful desires as well. A woman may think this way or that way. But you as the man are instructed to lead that relationship. Like, hey, honey, we can't be doing this. Like, we have to change what we're doing. We have to look a different way. We have to follow Jesus more fervently, right? But if you're giving into your desires, if you're leading a woman down the wrong path, all I'm going to say, because I've lived it, all I'm going to say is that's not going to end well. Now, you have to build your foundation on strong, solid ground, right? If you build your foundation on sexual morality and fornication and just lust and, everything but love, but true, genuine love for her and for Jesus, that building's going to crumble, right? You have to build your foundation on proper solid ground. And if you do build on, we'll say infertile ground, on unstable ground, you continue to build. The higher you build your building, the harder it is when the building comes crashing down, because it will come crashing down if you don't fix your ways, if you continue to live in that hole of darkness, in that path of darkness, right? That building is going to come crumbling down. It is. And again, as a man, you have to just lead and instruct. A woman, you have to identify this, right? Yes, a man leads a relationship. If he is not in the right mind state, in the right spiritual state, you have to be woman enough. You have to be grown enough to say, hey, what we're doing is not right. Or, hey, I don't want this. We need to change, or we're not going to work out. And that goes both ways. It really does, And God forbid it gets to those measures where you have to say, like, this might not work out, but you have to talk through those things, and get things right from the beginning, from the root. Because if you let it grow on that infertile soil, it's going to come crashing down. So I really like that verse, and that's something to really pay attention to. Don't bring a child of God into darkness. Don't cause a daughter of God or a son of God to sin. You want a role model. You don't want someone that's going to drag you through the mud You want someone that's going to take you to heaven, not take you and drag you down to hell. 28. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. Love your partner the way you love yourself. And loving your partner is loving yourself. Right? Take care of her as you do yourself. Don't be selfish. Don't put yourself first, especially in marriage. It's called to put that woman before yourself, but never before God. God is always first. Take care of her. Again, I'm speaking as like the masculine, like the man, but this goes both ways. Take care of her. She's your garden. Water your garden. Nourish it. Grow it to its maximum potential. Put your time and energy into cultivating that land, cultivating the trees, the fruits, the grass, the flowers, because she is your garden. She's your garden. So take care of it. In a relationship, if you're too focused on yourself and you can't cultivate your garden, which is your spouse or your partner, it starts to fade off, it starts to die off. Like metaphorically, the garden starts to die off, but what I really mean is that love starts to fade, because love, it's not a feeling, it's an action. You wake up every day and choose to love that person, because especially through a long relationship, things change, If we're talking like long term, physical appearance changes as you age. Personalities may change, circumstances may change, but every day you gotta wake up and choose to love that woman the same way you loved her that first very day, that first ever day. So cultivate her, Don't worry about whatever grass is greener. Don't worry about this and that, because if you're too focused on that, you'll overlook the fact that you're not watering your own grass for it to be growing as green as it should be. Cultivate that garden. 28. Continuing, he who loves his wife loves himself. Again, loving her is loving yourself. You have to love unconditionally. Now don't get me started, but we're getting started. So, this is kind of a given, Like everybody knows, love unconditionally. But as you go in through a relationship, you start to forget that. It starts to fade and twist. Now, like I said earlier, build that solid foundation so that it doesn't come crumbling down. Now, the last thing you want is for a relationship to be dependent, for it to be conditional love, for you to be needing to receive gifts from your partner, to be receiving sex from your partner, to be doing this, maybe going out and doing that. When you start to become dependent on something, that relationship relies on that and not the love that the two of you had for just exactly what y'all were, for what she was and for what he was. You start to look at it as something you can benefit from, right? Like, oh, are we gonna make love tonight? Oh, are you gonna go buy me that new cologne? Are you gonna buy me a new car? Or like this or that, or oh, he didn't get me the gift that I wanted. Like things like that, you start to become dependent, and it starts to twist your vision, right? It may start small, but it starts to twist your vision in a manner that only leads for darker things to be uprooted. Build that strong foundation. Love unconditionally, because at the end of the day, that's all we truly have. You're just a human, I'm just a human. Let's love each other properly. Let's not need any external factors. Yeah, that may come with it, Gifts may come with the love that we have, but love isn't the gift giving itself. And like I was saying, same goes for sex. If you're not receiving sex, you get angry at your partner, or if your sex life isn't good, if it's not doing good, you start to look somewhere else. Like things like that, it's a reality. It's a reality, and we have to face that, and we have to uproot that from the root. You have to cut those weeds whenever they start growing so that they don't grow into something much larger, much more hindering between the love that you and that person have. So don't become dependent on anything, because that may jeopardize the love that you have love like Jesus Christ did. You know, this is one thing that I learned from my co-pastor. Is it's a realization that hit me very recently, is love your partner, love your spouse as if they were a friend. You know, everything else comes with it. Like the kids, the children come with it. The house comes with marriage. You know, those are things to look forward to. But you have to love your partner as a friend. You know, love them truthfully and honestly. Like, how do you love your friends? Like, for me, an example, like my friends, my homeboys, like I love those guys, you know? Like, I don't need anything from them. Like, they don't need to help me out with a car, like help me rebuild the engine for me to love them, or we don't need to go out every weekend for me to love them. Like, those are my guys. Whatever happens, I'm still with them. And that's the same kind of love that I carry with everybody else, you know, with my family and friends. And that's the same way I should carry love with a partner. That's the same way you should carry love with a partner. I love them no matter what. I don't need anything from you other than your own love, your true, honest, and genuine love. And that's basically what unconditional love is. And then with marriage comes everything else, you know, comes all the gifts that God bestowed upon y'all. Be a leader. Be conscious of what you're doing. Be conscious of the way you're living with your partner. Love unconditionally and build a strong foundation. Now I want to move on to the next point. Integrity under pressure. Now, this is going to take me to Genesis 39, verse 6 through 12. And luckily for me, I can skip right through because I put these little tabs. Boom. Quick. Now, what was it? 39, 6 through 12. I'm going to read this. This is about Joseph, right? So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge. He's talking about Joseph's master. And because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. After a time, his master's wife cast eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me," like sleep with me, right? But Joseph refused and said to his master's wife, Behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me, except you, because you are his wife. Now how then can I do this great wickedness to sin against God? And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would not listen to her, to lie beside her or to be with her. But one day, when he went into the house and to do his work, and none of the men of the house was there in the house. That's funny. That sounds kind of weird. But none of the men of the house was in the house. She caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of that house. So she was like, bro, she was trying to grab on him. He said, Ugh. He left his garment. He said, "Peace." And he dipped. And that's exactly, I'm going to touch on this a little bit later, but that's how we're supposed to tackle lust. You know, we don't fight it. We flee from it. He said, "Ugh, get off of me, woman." Boom. And he just dipped. We see Joseph being tempted, right? Even through temptations, he's still steadfast, holding strong to his own values. You know, that's his master's wife. He even said, "Why would I sin against God and sleep with her?" So his master entrusted everything into Joseph's hand, like the whole house, the whole estate and everything. And Joseph had a duty. He had to uphold that. So the same way that his master entrusts everything to him is the way that we should have trust in one another with the partners, you know. This is a given, but I'm still going to say it. Just trust your other partner. Obviously, you have to set boundaries to prevent certain things from happening, certain doors from opening, right? Flee from temptation. I don't know whether you may be in a relationship right now or you're going to be in a relationship in the future. Just know that these times will come, so stay prepared. That's why we stay prayed up, so watch out for those. Be sober-minded and vigilant. It goes in two ways. Holding your values in the relationship and holding your own values to yourself and to God, right? Joseph didn't compromise his values, right? His beliefs, his standards. I mean, she wanted him, right? She wanted him. He could have been like, you know what? I'll do it. You know what? Like, I'm sure he felt like the pressure, like, he's a man. I'm sure he gets tempted, like, in his mind. But he said, no, I'm going to stay steadfast. He said, you're not my wife. You're my master's wife, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sleep with you. She tried to get him. Nope. Bye-bye. Even through all that, he stayed steadfast. He didn't compromise whatever values he had. Now, that's the same way we have to be in a relationship. Like, this is going to be the pure truth, and you deserve the truth, right? So I'm going to be honest. You have a partner. Let's say you have a partner, right? There's going to be people out there. This is a big world, you know. There's going to be people out there that maybe look better, that maybe dress a certain way, dress better than your partner. There's going to be people that are funnier, people that are taller, people that are, you know, better looking. Like, there's so many things, right? The thing is, don't get complacent. Love your partner the way you're supposed to love them. Love them for who they are. I mean, why'd you fall in love in the first place, right? Don't be complacent. Don't take what you have for granted. And if you're not in a relationship and you're going to be one in the future, like, when the time does come and you're in that relationship, learn to love properly. There's going to be people that are going to come up to you like, hey, can I get your number? Hey, can I get your Instagram? There's going to be people that are interested in you, but you're already tied down in a relationship. You've gave your commitment to that person, so keep it. Don't get complacent, because you won't realize how much of a blessing it was to have that person until you lost them. So that's what you need to find. A man who doesn't compromise under pressure, a man who doesn't fall into temptation. Same goes for women. Next point. I want to talk about daily spiritual discipline, right? So you know those prayers that you're like in bed at night and it's all dark and you're like, oh Jesus, please bring me that person, bring me that partner. And you start to describe exactly what they look like, what they talk like, how they treat you, how they live their life and whatnot. You start to describe them, right? Well, in that prayer, you need to ask God for this partner to have spiritual discipline. A good example of this is Daniel, all through chapter 6, but Daniel as a whole, he's very disciplined, very in the Word, and I mean, that boy was so faithful in God, like he believed in him through everything, in that fire and everything. That's what we need in a partner. That's what you need to pray for. So find you a person that is fervent about God, someone that is passionate about God, that really truly seeks him day after day, not someone that sees it as a task, like, oh, I gotta go to church today, or oh, I don't feel like reading my Bible. And I'll admit, I don't read my Bible every day. You know, it's hard for me. I pray every day, but sometimes it's hard for me to pick up the Bible. But that kind of discipline is, for one, what you need to have, and also what you need to look for in a partner. Find someone that's going to be encouraging of your faith, right? You don't want anybody that's going to kill your spark. You don't want anybody that's going to put you out in the darkness. You want someone that's going to build you up, someone that's going to encourage you to get closer to God, that's going to say, okay, I see what you're doing. I like it. We have to make sacrifices. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that in order for us to grow closer to God, right? You need someone that's going to be ecstatic to go to church, someone that's going to be happy to pray with you, to read with you, someone that likes to be in the Word of God, you know? You know, everyone is on a different stage in their walk with God, in their faith, right? So you may be further along on your walk with God than your partner, or vice versa, or maybe one of y'all isn't saved yet, right? That's okay. That's okay. What you need to in that partner is for them to be encouraging. You know, you need to be encouraging of them. Don't push anything onto them, obviously, but you need to encourage them to live to live according to the Bible. You need someone who's going to be passionate about your true motives. And this is a good one. I've spoken to I think 3 different people, 3 different couples, where the woman wanted to cease sexual intimacy, right? Because before that decision of, cutting off sexual intimacy and practicing celibacy, before that, they either weren't saved or weren't as in the word as they are now. So through that realization, they were like, okay, I want to cut this out. Like, I need to cut this sexual morality out. And that's awesome, right? Now, I've seen both sides of this, a supportive man and an unsupportive man, and this goes for either the man or the woman, right? Your partner needs to be supportive of you for that, and your partner needs to be supportive of things centered around that, right? Like, if you have a God-given purpose, a God-given motive, your partner needs to be supportive of that. Like, oh, I want to go to church. No, why do you need to go to church? Let's spend time together. Like, no. Like, those sorts of things are what we need to watch out for. If you feel like you need to cease sexual intimacy, like stop it, and your partner isn't supportive of that, something needs to change, right? Something needs to change within them. And that's where you have to be encouraging, right? Both people. You need someone that's going to be supportive in those kinds of things, They need to be supportive of your love for Christ. That's a really good one. Keep that in. You want to be able to see the Spirit of God living through them, right? You don't want someone that's dead in their faith. And granted, it's a growth process, right? If they don't have that now, that's okay. Just be encouraging, enlighten them. Be that light for them if they're not yet in that, right? You want to see, like I said, you want to see that Spirit of God within them. You want to see that fire in their eyes for God. You want to see them passionate to read their Bible, to show up to church. You want them to actively live a Christ-like relationship, a Christ-like life, Lead one another down the right path. Now, this brings me to my final point, and this is like something that I stress over and over again because I have countless people coming to me, and even I'm guilty of thinking this way, like in the past, but you shouldn't have to seek love. I'm a firm believer that true love will come to me. True love will come to you, right? You shouldn't have to go seeking it and talking to this person and that person. You shouldn't have to go actively looking and seeking for love, right? Going girl from girl to girl to girl to girl, or vice versa, guy to guy to guy to guy. Just waiting for the moment that you happen to stumble across someone that kind of fits the description, right? That's not true love. You're forcing it. You're just forcing it. And granted, some people do find true love from going up to one another, but the thing is, you shouldn't be actively like, oh my gosh, like, I need to find my partner. Let me go talk to this girl or that girl, or let me get her Instagram, or hey, let me hit up this girl that I used to talk. No. And trust me, I've been there. I really have, especially through high school, like, horrible. For one, it's not advised. Two, it's just a lot of energy that you're outputting that can be used for various other things. Like, you could put your energy into much better things, because that knowing that God is going to provide that person for you, like, the time's going to come, that person's going to come. So you just do your own thing. Just build yourself up so that you can be ready to receive that gift from God, right? It's like the story of Ruth and Boaz. Now, I'm just going to go through this really quick. I have a little summary right here, but Ruth, a Moabite widow, was seeking leftover grains in the farm just to survive, when she happened to go to Boaz's farm, where she stumbles upon him. Now, Boaz is an honorable man, and he finds favor in Ruth, right? He finds favor in her eyes. Dang, let me pull this up. Then she asks, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" And then Boaz answers, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land to come to a people that you didn't know before. So this is sticking out to him. He knows all about her, and he honors her loyalty to her mother-in-law, right? And he finds this kindness and this loyalty really appealing, right? And the story goes on. Let's see, they run back into each other, and essentially Ruth goes up to him and she says, I'm gonna mess up the wording, but she says something like, spread the corner of your garment, which essentially means like the man's proposing to her. So she asks him to do that, and he agrees. So they end up getting married and they end up having kids. She conceives and whatnot, and turns out Boaz is the great grandfather of King David. So they have a great family and whatnot. But let's think about that. Let's dissect that. Ruth was just trying to survive. She was finding grain on farmlands and whatnot when she happened to stumble upon this man. He found favor in her, right? Because of the woman that she was. I mean, who knows? I can't tell you for sure if she was or wasn't looking for love, but she was staying steadfast on herself. You know, she was, for one, trying to survive. Two, she was being passionate and loyal to her mother-in-law, and she went out of her native land to go meet those people that she didn't even know, right? So she was doing this and doing that when she happened to stumble across Boaz. She just happened to stumble across him. And what happens? They end up meeting, they end up liking each other, they end up getting married. So what I'm trying to say is that love will come. And like, I can testify to it. I've lived that, like seeking. And then as soon as I stopped trying to find love and I focused solely on myself, and also getting right with God, that's another big one, it came to me. Love came to me, right? And I'm a firm believer, like when people tell me like, oh, this didn't work out, or I didn't work out with this person, I'm like, trust me, God has a plan for you. He'll send that person, he'll send the right person to you at the right time. All you have to do is just be patient and trust God's timing, because God's whole, like, everything, right? That's the best way I could put it. God's timing is beyond what we can fathom, right? Like, we just don't understand in the ways that he works, which is wonderful. It's miraculous, you know? So we just have to learn to trust him. Live your own life. Build yourself up. Build your faith up. And be ready to receive that blessing when it comes. I'm telling you right now. Just be ready. Receive, okay? Now, those are the main topics that I talked about. That's essentially it. I do just want to say, be careful who you talk to. Be careful who you give your heart to, who you give your time to. One thing that my co-pastor would always tell me, that I tell people all the time, and like I've had people, in specific this one guy, it was like, you know, I'll save you the details, but a relationship didn't go well, and he was like, dude, you remember that one time when you told me this? He was like, bro, I wish I listened to you, or this or that. And he was like, dude, that's really some real stuff. Well, my pastor told me is, guard your heart. It's that simple. Guard your heart. 3 words. Be careful on how much you invest into a person, especially before marriage, right? Because marriage is long-term commitment. That's when you're ready to give your life to another person, like commit to each other. Be careful how much you invest into someone else. Now, that's not to say to give your, like, you know, half love to your partner. Like, no, you want to give them your true and honest love, but just be careful how much you share with them, how close you get to them. If it's pre-marriage, I'll tell you now, don't open that door. Don't open that door to premarital sex. And that's exactly what I mean. Just be careful how much you invest in this person before marriage. Just guard your heart. Be very, very diligent on how you choose your partner, right? I would say these kinds of standards are high standards, you know, like, unfortunately. And I will say, I probably should have said this like way in the beginning, but I'll say it now. Like, I'm far from perfect, right? I made a lot of these mistakes that I just told you about, right? Like, I led a woman down the wrong path. I've had eyes for the wrong type of people. I've opened doors to the wrong kinds of things. I have been trying to rush love. All these things, I've lived. I've been through. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm telling you this from experience. Just be careful, right? Love is not something you should rush or jump into, especially, I know for those of you who are, just dying for that right person to come into your life, and you're like, God, I need someone. Just keep your head up. Keep your head up, keep pushing through, and just have that knowing in your mind that it's coming, that person's coming. Just be patient. Trust God's timing. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of all that I have for you tonight. You know what, let me leave you with a quick prayer. Now, I'm going to pray this in, I'm going to do kind of two separate categories, I guess you could say. I'm going to do this in two separate categories, two separate, whatever. You can choose which one that applies to you and receive that, okay? Bow your head, close your eyes. Heavenly Father, I thank you, my Lord, for this blessed night, Jesus, for getting me through yet another day, Father. I thank you for the breath of life that you fill my lungs with, Jesus. This is the biggest blessing that you can bless me with. Father, I pray for this person across this camera, Jesus, for this person that may be seeking love, Father, this person that is yearning for love, for someone's touch, just to hug someone, Father, to have someone there to lean on, to speak to, Jesus. Father, allow this person to understand that their time is coming, Father, that you are working in their life as we speak, Jesus. Work in their life, Father, and make it known to them that they are being thought of, that they are being cared for, Father, and that their time, their love is coming for them to just stay steadfast, Jesus. For your love is coming towards you. Be patient and diligent. Guard yourself from Guard yourself from the harshness of this world. Build a foundation now before you enter into a relationship, so that God may step into that realm of yours and cultivate something beautiful. Father, let this person know that they are loved. Jesus. Father, I pray for the person that is in a relationship right now, Jesus. They may be going through some heartbreak. Maybe they just got out of a relationship, Jesus. Maybe they are in one and having struggles, Lord. Having struggles of being righteous. Having struggles of living the way they should be. Having issues, Father. Fights, disagreements, and arguments, Father. Lord, I ask that you give anointing among those two individuals, Father. That you may touch their heart and open their eyes, and that something shifts in their mind, so that they may see the truth, Father, the truth behind the love that you put in front of them, Father. To let their situation, to let all those negative roots to be brought to light and to be severed right then and there, Father, so that they may start brand new, that they may start clean, Father. Clean slate, Jesus. That you may cleanse these two individuals, Father, and that you may guide their path onto a healthy and more righteous direction, Jesus. A third category that I want to add in there. Lord, I pray for the person that is heartbroken right now, Jesus. Whether they have never been in a relationship and are just hurting from that, or maybe they just got out of a relationship, Father, whatever it may be. Lord, I pray for healing upon this person, upon their heart and their mind, Lord. Allow this person to know that there is much more in the future for them, Father. Bigger things, bigger plans that are meant for them. And Lord, that you are working in their life. Father, it's not easy to deal with heartbreak. It's not easy to deal with a missing loved one, because those connections have been built, Jesus. But let this person know that their life is meaning to turn very, very soon. That something is going to switch, and that beauty is truly going to come into light, into their situation in their life. Whatever they may be going through right now, Jesus, it is only temporary. Let them understand that, Lord. It's only temporary. So I thank you, Father, for just working in every single one of these people's lives, for working in my life, Jesus. I thank you for the gift of love that you've allowed us humans to have, Father, because it's truly the greatest thing ever. Father, it's the one thing that we can truly take into the afterlife. It's love. So I thank you this night, Jesus, for each individual that's sitting here with me right now praying, Father. I pray for every tear that has dropped from this person's face, Father. For every breath that has been gasped, Lord. For every thought and emotion that has crossed through this person's head and this heart that has hurt them. Father, I pray for healing. I pray for uplifting, Father, in that person's soul and spirit. So, Jesus, I thank you today for nourishing each and every person right here, for cultivating their entire life and everything that they're working on, Father, for cultivating their soul and their spirit, and truly bringing an amazing, diligent, disciplined child of God into this world, Father. Let them shine their light for others, Jesus. I thank you for this beautiful night, and in your almighty name, Lord. In your almighty name, Jesus, I pray. Amen. All right. Now, that was a bit of a longer one, but if you stuck through, thank you. That was a good one. That was a really good one, and I would say that this is good, getting to know each other better, getting to just pray together. I mean, this is special, getting to pray for others, getting to listen to other people's words, and just helping others. It's awesome. So I don't know exactly what you're going through. Just know God has a plan for you. I will throw this in there. A couple weeks ago, I would say like a month and a half ago, I felt the most hopeless I have in a long, long time. I felt very hopeless, and I was almost directionless. Fast forward now, I'm living the best life I can be living. Like, I'm doing amazing. I'm deep rooted in the word. Like, I'm growing. And again, like I said earlier, I'm far from perfect. I make mistakes. But I want you to know this. You may make mistakes, but as long as you have the true intention in your heart to become better, to grow closer to God, you're in the right space. You really are. Nobody's perfect. Now, there's no excuses for doing the wrong things, God gave you free will, so do right with it. Do right with it, because it's a gift. But just one thing I can say is just have that true passion in your heart. Don't let anybody stoke that fire. You may have people saying like, oh, but you used to do this, or you used to do that, or like, bro, I know you from way back then. Like you're faking this Christianity, you're faking this religion, this love for Christ. Don't listen to any of that. Don't listen to any of that. Just love God for who He truly is. Learn to grow. Like, all you need to do is just focus on growing, whether that be by yourself or with a partner you may have. Just cultivate your spirit, right? This life is pretty harsh, I will say that. It's pretty harsh, but nothing is impossible with God. Nothing. right? You can get through all things with Jesus Christ. So just keep pushing through, keep loving God, and just keep loving people, you know? People may hurt you, people may disrespect you, may whatever. God calls us to love our enemies, love our neighbor, so do so. Just keep on radiating that light, keep on being encouraging to others. Just do the best that you can with the gift that God gives you. It was nice talking to you tonight. Be safe, take care, and I'll catch you on the next episode, okay? Love you.